Good evening. I've got 6 o'clock on the clock here on the podium. And I think we may still have people coming, so we'll maybe talk slow for a few minutes and see if they'll give them a chance to get here. But in the meantime, at least do a call to order and roll call. So first we'll call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. according to the clock here on the counter anyway. Welcome everyone, and do a quick roll call. Start on the right side. David, is it kind of difficult? Okay, thank you. I'll get it right eventually. Appreciate the okay, so we'll count you as here. Perry Clemente and Mark Perkins is here. Kayla Hughes
Here.
And Colby Cowan is absent tonight. He called and let us know he was tied up and couldn't make it. Derek Rubin
Here.
and Andrew Malkowski. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, appreciate that. We'll show we do have a quorum. And Chance, do you want to go ahead and get started, or you want to wait a few minutes until? Okay, we'll may let you. If it's anybody have an objection, if we go ahead and let do the staff presentation. Okay, I'll call our first and only item order for public hearing. This is case number PZ 2211. Conduct a public hearing and consider a zoning change from PD Plan Development Tiny Homes to Plan Development TH Townhouse for approximately 6.1 acres, being Lot 1R, Block 1 of the Harris Hill Estate, located at 439 Mansfield Cardinal Road, City of Kennedale, Tarrant County, Texas. So, Chance, it's all yours. Okay, there he goes. And I understand we have, we'll say if you want to speak for or against this case, please fill out a request to speak form. To the best of my knowledge, Rosie, we don't have any turned in yet. Okay, thank you.
Ready? Okay. The location of the undeveloped 6.1 acre lot is located on Mansfield Cardinal Road, mid block between Kennedale Parkway and Whitewood Road. The site is currently zoned PD Plan Development for senior cottages. The existing zoning to the north is C2 commercial. The existing zoning to the east is R2, R3 residential. The existing zoning to the south is C2 commercial, and the existing zoning to the west is multifamily. The land use compatibility. The existing adjacent land uses includes Emerald Hill Cemetery to the north, Brookstone single family residential to the east, Oak Crest multifamily to the west, and multiple commercial and vacant lots to the south. The proposed townhome development would act as a transition between the existing low density single family residential to the east of Brookstone into the existing Oak Crest multifamily to the west. Therefore, the plan development would be compatible with the existing land uses. The comprehensive plan consistency. The 2012 comprehensive plan designates this subject property as neighborhood residential on the future land use map. Per the comprehensive plan, townhomes are a listed type of residential development allowed in neighborhood residential. The development would also meet the goals of the comprehensive plan by promoting access to housing, by providing housing options for people of varying financial means and residential preferences. And therefore, the proposed request is consistent and conforms with the current comprehensive plan. The applicant's request is to rezone again from PD senior colleges to PD townhomes. As you see right here, this is the current PD plan that's permitted by right. The current zoning for the property would allow for a development of 46 single family tiny cottages for seniors aged 55 and older, with a minimum lot size of 25 by 35, which is a 1,200 square foot lot, and dwelling units with a minimum square footage of 399 square feet. The proposed development, seen here, consists of 38 townhome units with a minimum lot size of 35 by 100, which is a 3,500 square foot lot, and a proposed density of 6 units per acre. The request to rezone the 6.1 acre property to PD townhomes is consistent with the comprehensive plan and is compatible with the existing land uses. Therefore, staff has recommended approval. I can answer any questions y'all have at this. Yes, sir.
This was something that was brought to council about 2 years ago, shot down. They wanted to do tiny homes,
No, it was actually approved.
but 2 years ago.
Yes, sir. That's it right here. If you look right here, this is actually the PD, which is actually the ordinance. This is what they can build. This is their site plan. When you do a PD, you're stuck to that site plan. So if they went in there and they started doing this development right here, this is what it would look like.
2 years ago, the same developer trying to present different mini homes or something in the same area.
This may be, but this is a different development. I believe they purchased this, and again, the applicant's not here. I believe he told me they purchased this property earlier this year, January, February, sometime.
A couple years ago.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but this is approved right here. They could go in here on this and actually build what's on this site plan right now.
The tiny homes were approved.
Yes, sir.
But now we're not going to do tiny homes, townhomes.
They're gonna do townhomes, which is this right here. This is the townhome layout.
That's,
That would be the plan development. They can't make any change.
Well, what they're doing is they're rezoning their plan development to a different plan development, which would be this townhome, and they cannot go in there and change their site plan. Yeah, you can't. Now, there might be some they could definitely, lose maybe a lot or two because, they get in there and they start doing some
Yeah.
design and there's some stuff, but they can't go in there. And right now they're showing, 6 units per acre right here. So they can't go in there and all of a sudden start showing 8 units or 10 units or whatever. They can't increase their density or their lot count, their lot yield. 2. Yes, sir.
How many will be together in a cluster? Will it vary depending upon where it's placed?
It looks like 6 right there at the most of that northeast one looks like it's 6 units. So that looks like their max.
the
And I can,
tiny homes were approved for how many?
46 units.
46, and this
Yes, sir.
is 30.
And that didn't fly then.
That's approved.
No,
They did approve.
Did get approved.
Yeah, they decided not to build it, but they could have.
All right, okay, so it wasn't shut down.
No, sir. No, sir. It's approved. No, and you can see right here, it says, well, there's no telling, but it says the site plan was done in 2016, it looks like, but it says September 1, 2020. So I don't know what that date refers to, but yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now I actually have here's a typical, I didn't want to show this until the applicant was here. He had a little presentation, I believe, but here is the actual kind of a unit layout, the 6 unit layout right here. And I don't know the exact unit size. I mean, it looks roughly, 60 by 35 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood.
So they're gonna be, if you all connected like the firewall,
Yes, sir.
person owns that. Trailer.
Yes, sir. It's a single family attached. So the yard underneath it belongs to that unit.
They'll have a little bit of a backyard.
Yes, sir.
What will you have for garage? Parking?
You can see right here, they have a 20-foot backyard right here and a 2-car garage. And right here, you can see they have a 15-foot drive. But if you look, that sidewalk's probably 4 to 5 feet. So you're probably looking at about 18 foot here, which is a typical parking stall. Yes, sir. That's a rear entry right here.
How's it gonna affect on traffic? I mean, this is gonna be a scene. Anybody wants to move in. First, it was supposed to be 55 and all.
Right. There's no age restrictions on this one. No, sir. Now, again, with the future, the comp plan, I'm gonna go back up to the street right here. Mansfield Cardinal Road in the future, based on the MTP, is going to be widened. It's going to be an avenue street, which is proposed to have both pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So it'll be up to about 110 foot right away at that point. So the street will be wider and bigger in the future. Yes, sir.
Not up to them, it's up to what, the city? Or-
Yeah, they'll have impact fees. Yes, sir.
And what is it, how about with the old problem, changing flow of water? Dump on someone else's property, flooding out somebody else, and what are they gonna?
Well, again, they have to mitigate that runoff. So that will be taken care of in their site plan again as well. They'll have to have kind of a detention area on their site plan.
Electric pretend somebody done right?
Yes, it goes through engineering. It has to, when they submit a plat and all that, so they do drainage studies and it'll be a process.
Then you have to come back to us, or once we, approve the zoning change,
Right now, we're just approving the zoning change. We're looking at two things. Is the land use compatible with the existing uses? And is it conforming to the comp plan? That's what we're looking at right now.
we'll compliment.
Yes, sir.
No comment. And what about, looking at families, I'm sure they're gonna have children. What kind of impact is it gonna have on our school district? And are we overburdening our school district, all these other developments coming in? How's the school district handling all this?
Well, again, just speaking from a previous case that they had spoken with the superintendent and they were, pro growth, but at this point, I don't know the
Yeah,
the
last
capacity.
year, the school district, they were actually thinking about building a new site. And they actually requested input from all of the residents of KISC. And they are preparing for all of these new development growths that are happening. So they're actually redesigning how the current facility usage is based upon different grade levels as to how they can maximize their current existing structures while incorporating all of this. They actually had quite a lot once they had an actual, they had a consultant come in and they looked at existing spaces and how they can rework some of the grade levels within the different buildings that are currently existing, where they didn't have to build a new structure and they can still, they have plenty of space for all of these developments that are happening. So it's, if you go to the Kennedale website, like they've got presentations on all of this.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Knowing that road, and this is, how soon does the city plan on? What's the plan on with the city widening that road? Because I know how hectic it can get over there during the week
I'm gonna defer.
in the morning.
That's part of the process we're going through right now is updating our comp plan, is looking at our thoroughfare planning, and Daryl being new city manager, me being new community development, public works director, is looking at priority roads, ranking them as priority in time, but it will be at least a couple of years or more. It won't be in the near future, but it's going to take a while for the project to be built too, so.
I mean, are we talking within like the next 5 or what?
They could, till I actually have a true plan, I don't want to mislead you, but hopefully within the next 5.
Okay.
Yes, how was our infrastructure doing work, and we had problems, so now Arlington taking it over. Mitigate a lot of problems. How was our infrastructure able to handle that? How does that all work?
The sewer should be.
Yeah, well, again, there's 2 phases is what we're looking at tonight again is, and it's okay to kind of get off subject a little bit, and they're good questions. Is right now we're looking at the land use, where these questions go to it. We have different portions of the city that we have to work on lines and connection points. This particular area, when he brings in his construction plans, will address that. And that's part of the good part of downsizing a little bit, but in this particular area, there shouldn't be a problem. But once he submits his engineered plans, we'll look at flows and the requirements, et cetera. But based on what's been done in there in the past, it shouldn't be an issue. But once we get the engineered plans, we can verify that.
So I get this all figured out. They don't have to come back.
They'll go through us and our engineers, city staff and our engineers. Any other questions?
Do we have any other question? David, do you have questions? Or any others for
I
staff?
think I'm good right
Yeah, you have questions? Gary?
You're the applicant?
Andrew, and I,
Not at this time.
is
I
our,
think the developer got here though, right?
is this our applicant that
Yes, sir.
just came in? Okay, good. Okay, good. He's making him fill out the right paperwork. Everything will
We have
be,
it for documentation.
all
Any
right.
other questions from staff or Chance?
I think we're good for now. Thank you.
Thank you. If it's okay, we're gonna let the applicant speak, then we'll kind of do the public part. Circle back to questions.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask any questions real quick?
Well, if you don't mind, I can do the presentation. You got an answer, we'll have the public circle back on it. And when we bring up something you have questions about, those questions. Presentation, open the public area.
Will do. Thank you. And Rosie, don't
Okay.
let me get away with these. Make sure I get them to you. Okay, we have Charles Williams.
Yes.
Here speaking for the applicant. Welcome. If you could, if you could please just state your name and your place of residence, and look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, Charles Williams, I'm with Pioneer Realty Capital. I guess I am the applicant.
Okay.
And I live in Arlington, Texas. We own property throughout the state of Texas. We develop throughout the state of Texas. And so we had an opportunity to acquire this property. I guess you don't want me to go into that right now, or should I just keep going?
Go ahead.
Okay. We had an opportunity to acquire this property. We thought it might be a great opportunity because of what's happening in the Kennedale area to continue to beautify that area. We have a really nice residential neighborhood just adjacent to our property. We're actually looking at potentially expanding because as you go a little further down from our property, you'll notice there's some properties that are probably at the end of their life cycle. And we hope that this will be the first part of perhaps bringing that area up in terms of quality of the neighborhood, and maybe acquiring some of those other properties and adding it to our little development that we're looking to create over here in Kennedale. See, I'll just go down here. One of the things that we try to give attention to when we go into a community and develop is to really create green space that really accommodates the citizens or the residents in that area very well. And you'll notice here in our conceptual plan, we have quite a bit of green space. We have the playground area, the amenity pool, the dog park. You know, even though this is a little higher density than perhaps what was there before, we don't want to maximize that density to the point to where, you know, 20 years from now, someone's asking the question, why did we do it? 20 years from now, we want people to look at this area and say that this is a really nice development. And so that's our primary goal. What you're looking at here is about 38 townhome units. We could go as much as 42 if we were to reduce these square footage to 1750. What you're looking at here, these townhomes are about 2,500 square feet. So it's perfect for, you know, young families or for older people that have decided they no longer want to cut the grass and take care of a yard, but they want to live in a nice community with nice amenities, you know, without having to take care of a yard. So that's the thought, and our market study has indicated that there's quite a bit of demand for products like this here in this area. So, you know, what we're looking to do is we're petitioning the Planning and Zoning Committee here to approve the zoning so that we can build this this development. And again, as I mentioned, we will be looking for ways to even expand it if we're able to acquire the property adjacent to ours there. I think it's some older apartments that were built in the 60s or maybe 70s or so forth. And then that will allow us to continue to beautify that area. And I think it's very consistent with, you know, if you look at your road plans and what you're doing to make that more accessible, I think this is going to go very well with that. Okay, sorry. That's my presentation.
No, I don't have any questions.
Just out of curiosity, do you envision this being gated with entry and exit, or will it just be an open?
It will have a gate. It will be gated. It will be have an entry and open. We want to control that area and control.
And
it.
do you guys typically maintain and keep the properties that you develop, or do you sell off those once they're completed?
So this will have a homeowners association that will be responsible for maintaining and keeping up the property. We'll also include maintaining the yard in the homeowners association. So we'll, you know, it
Consistent.
won't be the primary responsibility of the resident. Therefore, we can maintain the quality of the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
You said you might change the square footage down from 2,500 to 1,700.
1750.
Okay.
Mhm.
When will you know for sure on that?
We're waiting on an updated market study to come back to determine the demand. We feel that there is significant demand for the 2,500 square feet. However, with the cost in construction material and with the cost of labor being what it is, you know, we want to look for a way to have a beautiful community, but also we want to be able to maximize our return on this investment. And so, you know, 2,500 square feet for a couple who's maybe moving out of their primary residence into a townhome is a little big. You know, so I think, you know, our market studies have indicated that there may be some that will be more interested in something that's a little bit smaller. And there may be a mix, but we'll know very quickly with certainly by the end of this week. Our architects are fine tuning their design on that so that we can present to city council next week. But by next week, we'll know for certain what we're going to be building.
Okay, thank you.
Price per square foot, what do you think it's gonna be? Or what would be your price point per unit? I mean, how are you gonna price them? What's the market doing these days on square footage, dollar per square foot kind of thing?
Yeah, so we're seeing anywhere from 180 to 215 a foot. It is kind of what our strike point is. That's what we're thinking. So these are going to go in the, you know, anywhere from $450,000 to $500,000 range. We also we're also a finance company. You know, that's part of what we do: real estate development, investments, and commercial mortgages. And part of our strategy for individuals, you know, who would like to, we can also do owner financing on these properties. So that makes it a little bit easier for individuals to get into the property because we can create some incentives for them.
You said there'd be an HOA. Is that a guaranteed thing? Is that
That's
something?
absolutely a guaranteed thing. I think it's a requirement in the state of Texas.
Who sets that up?
We'll set it up, but then it'll be the HOA be handled through a nonprofit. So after we get it set up and going, they'll elect a board and then it'll be.
Will be within the community. People live
Yeah.
there. And they, okay,
Mhm.
there was another presentation we had and they had their own HOA that was like it's like a property management kind of thing. And
Right.
they were the entity that watched over this and the people just paid. They didn't have their own little board members and, you know, that guy's yard isn't growing right. Well, he's on the board. We'll talk to him. It was another entity outside of that. And so the HOA will get established. They'll be part of the
To be part of the community.
community.
Yeah, and we want, you know, individuals are coming, they're making an investment, that's an ownership investment into this community. You know, our philosophy is that they should have a say on what's happening in their community. And so, so we'll set it up to where initially we'll appoint a board of directors just to get it up and going. Once we, you know, we sell out the community, then we'll elect board members from the community there within that community.
Well, the bylaws have rules in them that they have to be owner occupied, that people can't buy them and sublease them or sub-rent them, or they get sold and some entity out of the country buys them and then starts putting them in as rental properties or subsidized housing or Section 8. I was telling a few people, a friend of mine lives up in Argyle,
Mhm.
and for years they've had Section 8 housing in his community. It's perfect. The HOA came in and said, we can't have those people living here at Section 8. It was on the news.
Mhm.
And they wanted to, so they had to leave. The federal government's got involved and said, you can't tell people they have to leave, and the HOA doesn't have any ruling saying, it was never in the bylaws.
Right.
I know you got to leave. They said, you can't do that. You can't throw people out because they're Section 8. As long as they're following the rules and they're maintaining their property and they're maintaining what the government wants them to do, they're not trashing the place and they're paying their portion of it. You can't throw people out. It hurt his value of his house, but he goes, I don't know all these people, these are rental properties. But he goes, but they were maintained. But now he has a problem selling his house because it was all over the news. So I was wondering, in the bylaws, will this state that you have to be owner occupied kind of thing to, you just can't buy it or sell it to a company, or, HUD picks it up because the people split and now it's an abandoned house or something like that. I don't know. How does that all play with the HOA?
Yeah, so we believe in free market. So we're not going to restrict how the houses or homes are handled. Some may buy them and choose to rent them out.
And they'll be allowed?
That will be allowed.
Okay.
Some, I have owned property in my life that were Section 8 properties, and they were the best tenants and properties I've ever had.
We get your money by every
My
month.
rent was paid and
Your rent's paid by
they
the first of the
behaved.
month. Yeah.
Right. There was no issue with the
Well,
tenant
they
at
have
all.
to. If they do something wrong, they lose
They're
their
off the
ability
program.
and they can't, they got out of the program. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You always
so-
get your money though, because it's in the bank quick, government.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we have other initiatives, our company, we are part of a nonprofit organization called Project PRC. We're working with the city of Fort Worth to provide, low to moderate income housing throughout the city of Fort Worth, actually the county, Tarrant County. And so our whole goal, with the properties we develop is to create really nice environments where people can come and live. People and, these are affordable at $450,000. That sounds expensive, but when you do the 30-year amortization, it's less than what you would pay for a 2-bedroom if you're renting. So,
Right.
So it may sound like that's a lot of money, but it's not a whole lot of money. So it's an affordable price point, and the demand for these townhomes is so high right now. People really need places to live. It's a great starter home, or it's a great home where people are at the end of that, home ownership life cycle, and they want to go into something smaller, easier to maintain. This is a perfect community for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just had a quick follow-up question on what's the current boundary line? Because that's an R3 house on the east side of that, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So on this layout right here, on the east side, there's an R3 home, right? There's a R3
Yeah.
single family home. So what's the current boundary marker right there? Fencing? Is it
That's a fence.
landscape?
That's fit, but we're gonna create
So like what type of fencing is there right now? Is it like a?
it's
chain
just a barbed
fence?
wire fence.
Just a barbed wire?
Yeah, but
fence?
we're gonna have a panel fence going all the way down.
Okay. What
and,
about any landscape, any like landscape screen?
On that side. I'm not sure. What exactly you mean by landscape screening?
So like, putting in some large trees or things like that that will not only just so that homeowner isn't just looking at just a panel fence, because right now it's a vacant lot to them at this moment.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to take into consideration that homeowners, their views. gonna
well,
change.
here's the thing, that road that you see going on the east side there, that's an easement for your
Okay, because you've got parking spots right there next to that. park.
Yeah, but that's not on the easement, but the road portion there, that's all an easement that allows the, I guess, the gas folks. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a gas pad. See right here, this little scoring of the land right here, there's an easement that's in here that comes up, connects, and there's a gas pad.
Gotcha. Okay, so that
Wouldn't that
road
be-
is essentially really there for the oil and gas business. So you
Yes.
really couldn't do anything
Right.
like that. You
Right,
couldn't do any sort of landscapes.
Right. yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and you can see the, one area just to the, I guess, that would be to the west, that those, apartments there. We actually like to, redevelop that entire area, but we'll see what happens in time.
Thank you.
All right.
Josh Alton, 1033 Estates Drive. And that's loud. Y'all asked some great questions. Those are exactly the same questions I was gonna ask. The gate, the HOA, the rented property. Did you say that you were y'all did purchase the adjacent property right here? Oh, okay. And do you have any elevations of the renderings or anything? And I'll tell you a little history about that piece of property. So of course, my house is about right here. I actually have the keys to that gate. So that's why they can't build any shrubbery right there, because that's a 50-foot utility easement that the gas company owns. But what happened with that property while I was on council was we need a lot of senior development around here. And so that's kind of the main reason why we approved that piece of property, was because we're promised that it'd be for seniors, I still am in contact with that developer, and what happened was the funding didn't fall through, so he decided to sell that piece of property. So when the planning department comes up here, I mean, they're almost always gonna approve. I mean, that's just a given, They don't live here, so they're not gonna benefit from this. And the lot sizes for Magnolia Hills, I mean, look, the council just turned those down. And here we are fixing to cram 17 homes into basically a R3 lot. I mean, to me, that's kind of hypocritical, And I'll just leave with this, that, when I was on council, and I put this on my page today. I've learned that out of every development that we approved, every single developer has lied to us. And I mean, that's something I took from it, I mean, they're gonna promise you this and that just to get in here. And then once they leave, like you said, once they get their money, they're out. And so I've learned that every single developer that's come in here has lied. We were promised at the corner of Summit and Little, they were gonna keep all those beautiful oak trees. There's one oak tree left and it's barely hanging on, I mean, I can go on, but I'm sorry, we wasn't prepared to come up here and talk. I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of history of that piece of property and, there were tiny homes, but we approved them because of seniors. We needed some more senior living here in town. And so that's why we approved it, but.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, the microphone turned on. Well, there's not that big a crowd here anyway. I'll close the public hearing, and, and I'm sorry. Did you? Oh, good, an elevation. Well, I may, I may say we're here to prove the zoning change and not necessarily the plat, and the elevation will come with that. So I guess if anybody in the board has an objection, we can go a different direction. I'd say we call for the question and vote on the zoning change and discuss that, and then the elevations and the specifics of the layout will come to us in a plat approval later on if it does get approved. So
I go ahead and make a motion that we approve based on the information presented. I find that the request meets city requirements is in compliance with the comprehensive land use plan. I make a motion to approve the request for rezoning.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's start on this end again and see if we have any
Approved.
discussion or approved, or if you have comments on the way.
No, they answered my questions.
Okay, Barry, you have any further discussion items? I guess I'll say I'm somewhat conflicted, but in general, seeing something less dense there is something I personally like seeing. So that's the only comment I'll have. Kayla, do you have any other?
That's the only thing I would
comments?
echo is the less dense, I think is better.
Okay, and Derek, any further comments? And I guess we'll,
I think that it's a great development. I think that within Kennedale, we do need some more variety in the types of homes that we do have. I think this is kind of a good location for it, kind of where it sits. It's a good transition piece. But we don't really have a whole lot of, like, one of our charges is to provide that diversity in housing. I don't know if anyone's taken the drive up Kennedale Parkway here lately and up towards 20. And I mean, if you look to the right as you're going over that bridge right before you hit that manufacturing, there's a homeless camp over there. You get up further to the intersection and, there's homeless people that are panhandling right there at the interstate. So I mean, it is a problem, and we do need to provide these ample variety of housings. I think maybe $200 per square foot might be a little high for kind of what we're looking for, because based upon kind of what the going rate within the city of Kennedale is right now. I mean, for that price, you can buy a 3,000 square foot home. It's probably going to be on an R4 lot. But I mean, you can, for $400,000, $500,000, you can buy an R3 home, $300,000 square, or R4 home, 300 square foot, single family. But I do think it's a great development opportunity. I think it's great that we can provide an additional housing opportunity for someone that's not looking for a single family home.
thank you. Well, we have a motion on the floor for approval. We have a second. I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. And votes unanimous, so it passes. And seeing no other items on the agenda for the day, I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
I move we close the meeting.
Okay, and do we have a second? Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes, and appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate you being here, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.